So today we are going to talk about Ghyrson Starn Kelermorph. This is from Universes Beyond. I guess Warhammer 40k. Not familiar with Warhammer myself, and generally I'm not a big fan of Universes Beyond. But this was kind of an interesting card. For those of you who don't know, I've played Magic for many years, took a very long break, and then have gotten back into it this at the beginning of this year. And the two colors that I do not play like at all, or like very seldom do I play, is red and blue. And there is a reason for it, and it is that I feel that you play cards on your turn. And both red and blue in particular kind of live and die at instant speed and just play cards whenever the hell they feel like it. And so I am more of a, permanent person, not necessarily instants and sorceries, and especially blue and red, and is it in general. It is just like you just play whenever the hell you feel like it. You play at instant speed. You make things. You can make other things just cast at instant speed. It's whatever the hell you want to do. So, but what kind of drew me to this commander in particular was his ability, which is 3 auto stubs. Whenever another source you control deals exactly 1 damage to a permanent or player, Ghyrson Starn Kelermorph deals 2 damage to that permanent or player. So, what does this deck do? This deck just pings everything for 1 damage. And it is very good at it. And people will hate you when you play this deck, because nothing will stick around when you play in this game. It is absolutely ridiculous. Because like a lot of times, like, things will just shrug off 1 damage or 2 damage or whatever, but like when it's like 3 damage and then it happens all the time, or for instance you give him Death Touch, then all of a sudden, he just is just murdering all the creatures. Like, it just doesn't matter. So basically, this deck is 100% pinging everything for 1 damage, triggering the commander, and just making it so that like everyone's life is miserable, and then you're also drawing cards on top of that. So the other thing that's really nice about this commander is that it has War 2, so unless it is a board wipe, usually it does stick around, but you do need to kind of get out of the gate, and you just need to stay on top of your opponents, because if you let off the gas even 1 bit, then everyone is just going to pile on top of you and make sure that you cannot do anything, you cannot start anything ever again, because no one wants you really doing anything, especially getting your commander out. So what do we do here? So we have Archmage Emeritus. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. Chandra's Incinerator. This is a card that I found, and I actually do really like it. It costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage dealt to your opponents this turn. You cast a spell that pings all of your opponents for 1, that triggers your commander, and then all of a sudden this is a 1 red mana 6/6 trample. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that player controls, which is going to be really good for something in just a moment. Cinder Pyromancer, you tap and deals 1 damage to target player. Whenever you play a red spell, you may untap Cinder Pyromancer. Defiler of Instinct, you can basically you can make red pips Phyrexian, and then whenever you cast a red permanent spell, Defiler of Instinct deals 1 damage to any target. You have a 0/4 Defender that deals 1 damage whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. You can see a pattern here. Erebor Flamesmith deals 1 damage whenever you cast an instant or sorcery to each opponent. Exalted Flamer of Teach, which is another 40k. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Again, pattern. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Deals 1 damage to each target creature or player. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you may untap Galetrode. Goblin Chain Whirler deals 1 damage to each opponent in each creature and planeswalker they control. Goblin Sharpshooter, which is something that can also go infinite very easily. Doesn't untap during your untap step, but when a creature dies, untap Goblin Sharpshooter and tap deals 1 damage to any target. Flamesmith deals 1 damage to each opponent whenever you cast a non-creature spell. Mischievous Chimera, whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you can scry. Div Mizzet can also go infinite. Spell cannot be countered. He's a 5/5 flyer. Whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. Firemind, another version of Div Mizzet. Whenever you draw a card, deals 1 damage to target creature or player. And you can tap him to draw a card. Particle Sorcerer deals 1 damage when you tap him. Razorfin Hunter deals 1 damage when you tap him. Stormkiln Artist gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you create a treasure token. Tandem Lookout, which is going to be something that will this is what goes infinite here. So whenever as long he's soulbind, so as long as he's paired with another creature, each of those creatures gets, whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, draw a card. So you do 1 damage, you draw a card, deals 1 damage, draws a card, deals 1 damage, draws a card, and so on and so forth. So as long as you have enough cards, then your opponent has life, you will win. Thermo Alchemist is a 0/3 Defender, deals 1 damage to each opponent. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, untap him. Urabrask, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, deals 1 damage to target opponent, and you add 1 red mana, and then you can exile him, flip him over. Deals 3 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. You create 3 treasure tokens, and then you can cast instant or sorceries from any graveyard. And if it was from the graveyard, then you exile those cards, and then he flips back over. So basically, yeah, we're mostly here for the 4/4 that deals 1 damage, but being able to cast any instant or sorcery, and you get the treasure tokens, that is very nice. And then over here, Young Pyromancer, it's like, I don't know about this one, but it is something that like gives you like a few blockers. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you create a 1/1 red elemental creature token. So what do we do about, like, how do we trigger the commander other than all of our creatures that have to tap? Blazing Volley deals 1 damage to each creature at your opponent's control, so that will trigger our commander. Boiling Earth deals 1 damage to each creature our opponent's control, and the Festivities deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. Fear Fire Foes, damage cannot be prevented this turn, deals X damage to target creature and 1 damage to each other creature with the same controller. Flame Fusillade, until end of turn, permanents you control gain tap. This permanent deals 1 damage to each creature or player. Sounds like you've actually made the deck I wanted to, and is it? Yeah, this deck is disgusting. and everyone just hates you. I'm just gonna tell you right now. Like, I kind of figured that people would hate you, but it is actually true. Forked Bolt deals 2 damage divided as you choose. Grape Shot has Storm, deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So you just play however many spells that you can, and then you cast this at the very end, and then you just storm it, and that triggers Ghyrson Starn all the time. I threw in Jessica's Will because I figured that we needed a few more ways to get some mana, and just like the biggest thing in here is that you need to constantly be just putting your foot on the gas, not letting up, and just continuously drawing cards. As you can see here, and which I think you've probably noticed, that the mana value, the average mana value of this deck is absolutely to the floor. Like, this is not a mana curve. This is just, I'm going to just dump all my cards from my hand onto the and play them as quickly as possible, and then I'm hoping that I have the ability to just get more cards. And the way that we do this is we have Tandem Lookout, and we have the Niv Mizzets, we have Windfall, and we have Curiosity. So we for spell we have Ponder, Preordain, just being able to scry and draw. Scouring Sands deals 1 damage to each opponent, or each creature opponent's control, and you get to scry. Vandal Blast, those pesky artifacts are no longer there. And then Windfall, basically it's just a wheel, based on how many cards that anyone else. Like, this deck, you go through cards so fast. You absolutely do. Like, you have to have pull one of your draw spells early on. Otherwise, like, you're just not going to be able to do anything. And, like, yeah. Rawl, Storm Conduit. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, he deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. And you can also scry 1, or you can -2 him. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, you copy that, and you can choose new targets for the copy. Just really nice when you have, say Chaos Warp, Dual Shots, like, yeah, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization. Yeah, there's just so much in here. Then we get over to our counter spells, because we need to be able to protect our commander, and most of that is just going to be board wipes, because no one really wants to pay the ward. But so we have very cheap counter spells. We have An Offer You Can't Refuse. We have Counter Spell. We have Swan Song over here, and then we have Pongify and Rapid Hybridization. If per se someone gets something out that has Indestructible, or not Indestructible, but like it's just really big, that is, and we don't have our Gorgon's Head, we don't have our Basilisk Collar. These are the 2 options in here. But generally, games go by really fast in this. There's actually, I believe I took out Rapid Hybridization and put in. No, Barps isn't still in here. Oh, I know what I did. I did not put in Repercussion. That needs to be in here. There we go. Got that in here, and we're just going to put that out real quick. Okay. Chaos Warp. So if they do have anything that is indestructible, we can shuffle that back into the library and then they can put another permanent back out. Everything else here is just another way to get 1 damage in here. Yeah. Artifacts, we have a lot of cheap mana rocks in here because we cannot ramp. We are just going to be constantly drawing cards. So Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Izzet Signet, Talisman of Creativity, and we also have Swiftfoot Boots and Lightning Greaves in here to give hexproof to our commander, because we were, Caltrops. Probably one of the most useless cards, except for in this deck. Whenever a creature attacks, Caltrops deals 1 damage to it. Like, at no point, especially at 3 mana, is anyone going to be attacking with a creature that has 1 toughness, or it only has 1 toughness. Unless it's like a token deck, in which they're not going to attack, they're just going to get rid of the Caltrops. But this 1 damage now turns into 3 damage. And then Basilisk Collar over here gives your commander Death Touch and Lifelink, which you get a lot of life from this deck. It's kind of insane. And then the same with Gorgon's Head. Good creature gets Death Touch. So, yeah. Then we have our enchantments, and these enchantments are actually kind of insane. So, Arcane Bombardment. I was looking at Thousand Year Storm, and I ended up choosing Arcane Bombardment, and here's why. So, Arcane Bombardment is whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile an instant or sorcery at random from your graveyard. Then copy each card exiled from with Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of copies without paying their mana costs. So, we have a ton of instants and sorceries over here. I'm thinking about actually putting in a few more, depending on how many more pingers that we can find. But what that means is that when I cast an instant or sorcery spell, or Exalted Flamer of Teach that allows me to bring it back to my hand, this will exile one of the pingers that we've already previously cast. And then we can cast that pinger again whenever we cast another ping spell. So now we have recursion of all of the instants and sorcery spells. And this is what I actually do like about Izzet, is because we can actually... there is some more permanence to the instants and sorceries that we've already played. Circle of Flame is just another Caltrops, but it's anything without flying. Curiosity, you enchant your creature whenever it deals combat damage, whenever it deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. This is another way that we can get some more cards back into our hand. Impact Tremors. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, Impact Tremors deals 1 damage to each opponent. Fantastic. Mana Barbs. You want someone to hate you, you play Mana Barbs. Plain and simple. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, Mana Barbs deals 1 damage to that player. Well, look here. Everything that we have is low to the ground. And yes, this will ping you, and it will trigger your commander, and your commander will be hitting you. But the game ends real quick. Ophidian Eye, flash, enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage to a player or to an opponent, you may draw a card. Quicksilver Dagger. You can enchant a creature, gets tap. This creature deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. You draw a card. You can see a theme here. Don't put this on your commander, because the commander specifically says that it has to be another source. So put it on your Chain Whirler or something that doesn't have the tap ability, so that you do 1 damage, you draw a card, and then you trigger your commander. And then you can enchant him with Curiosity or Ophidian Eye. And then you have Repercussion. So whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals that much damage to that creature's controller. And then whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that player controls. So, if you do 1 damage to a creature, this will trigger Ghyrson Starn. The 3 damage that's dealt to that creature is then dealt to that creature's controller. which triggers Chandra's Incinerator, which then deals more damage to another creature or the same amount of damage, which then goes back from repercussion back to the opponent, which then goes back to the creature. So if they do have a creature with indestructibility and you ping it, you can kill them. Because the creature will be dealt infinite damage, doesn't die, but then they are immediately they cannot survive from this stupid combo right here. No one will like you if you play this deck. I'm just saying right now. Rhystic Study, everyone knows it, everyone hates it. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. Pretty much. That is exactly right. So yeah, Rhystic Study, it's a very expensive card, but it has to be in here. This, like, there's no other way to put it. I'm surprised, one, that Repercussion was not included. I'm glad that it was actually reprinted in Wilds of Eldraine. I immediately picked it up as soon as I saw it. Because yeah, this card is absolutely bonkers in a deck like this. And the fact that it also just works very well with Chandra's Incinerator is just even better. Yeah, so Rhystic Study, everyone knows it, everyone hates it, but it is something that does need to be here because you need to be constantly drawing cards. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to be drawing cards. There is... what is it? Virtue of Courage. I was thinking about adding it. We're going to put it in the consider. So the adventure is irrelevant, obviously, because it deals 2 damage. But whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may exile that many cards from the top of your library. You may play those cards this turn. That is something that I'm actually considering putting in here. Yeah, we'll get to that later. And then Sigil of Sleep is actually a really nice card. So you enchant your commander. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage to a player, that return target creature that player controls to its owner's hand. So you can also put it on, Thermo Alchemist, but I really think that it's just better on your commander, especially because of the World 2. But basically what it means is that whenever your commander triggers and it deals combat damage or deals non-combat damage to a player, you then return their creatures to their owner's hands. So that Blightsteel Colossus, that is, a real problem, you bounce it. And then we have our, just normal stuff. We have a Reliquary Tower because if we get like Curiosity and Ophidian Eye and Rhystic Study and we have a Niv Mizzet in here, we're going to be drawing a fuck ton of cards, and we definitely want to be able to hold it on here. I want to say I have a Thought Vessel. I need to double check in here, but like I do believe I have a Thought Vessel in here as well. If we don't, we definitely need to put one in here. Riverglade Pathway is really nice. It's a land that you can flip over depending on which ones you draw. This is a very red-heavy deck, but you need the blue in order to be able to draw cards. Sheevan Gorge is just a land that also can ping if you really needed to. Steam Vents on here. There were a lot of decks that had the Sheevan Reef, which is the Pain Land, and I thought, why would you want to have that Pain Land in this deck? I kept Talisman of Creativity in here just in case, but I don't like the fact that it can ping you. It's only a good, especially if you like need to bring out your commander. So if your commander is on the command zone, you bring it out. He's not going to trigger, but. And then yeah, we have all of our like standard Izzet lands. Then we have Pain Distributor is kind of interesting. So whenever a player casts their first spell each turn, they create a treasure token. And whenever an artifact an opponent controls is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, Pain Distributor deals 1 damage to that player. So what this means is that, especially when you're in instant speed, however, I did notice that there's a lot of sorcery speed ping damage, not a whole lot of instant speed. So that was something that I was kind of like keeping in mind. I may need to go back in here and just see if there's a little bit more pingers that we can cast for at instant speed, because I feel like that's going to be a lot better than playing on sorcery. But regardless, so you can then create a bunch of treasure tokens, and that will help you like with your ramp a little bit better. And then whenever, like, it also helps your opponent's ramp, but they will also take the 1 damage by sacrificing the treasures, in which then Pain Distributor will trigger, and then your commander triggers as well. So it's interesting. If we were playing like harder in instant speed, I would probably do it. But right now, decided not to go with it. Third path, Iconoclast. I thought about, because he synergizes really well. He's basically a young pyromancer, and he synergizes nicely with Stormkiln Artist, who gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. But I don't know. Really, the Stormkiln Artist is really here just to make the treasures, not necessarily just to like get big and swing with them. Because like honestly, I don't know what, like, at any point is he ever going to get that big. And then I was thinking about Burn Down the House. I really like this card. You excuse me. Post-COVID cough. Definitely a thing. Burn Down the House is 3 and 2 red mana. You choose one. You can either deal 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, or you create 3 1/1 Red Devil creature tokens with. Whenever this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. They gain haste until end of turn. And one thing that I didn't really mention about this is that a lot of the creatures on here, well, maybe not as much as I thought, but the creatures on here have 1 power, and the devils themselves also have 1 power. So if they attack and then they deal combat damage to a creature or a player, that will still trigger your commander, and so that 1 damage becomes 3. And then when they die, they deal 1 damage to any target, and that 1 damage becomes 3. So I really did think about adding this in here. It's just, it's just a very expensive sorcery, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to like get to a point of being able to cast it on a regular basis. And then, we were thinking about Arcane Denial, Dramatic Reversal, Filter Out. Also, like, we don't have that. Like, we actually have a lot of enchantments in here, and I didn't want to, like, or also we have a lot of artifacts, so I didn't think that Filter Out was actually going to be that good. Rapid Hybridization we just put in there, and then Gorgon Flail gets equipped creature gets +1/+1 and Death Touch. It's essentially the same as Gorgon's Head and Basilisk Color. It's just a little bit more expensive, and we don't really need the +1/+1. And then we were considering Virtue of Courage, just being able to like go through our deck that much faster. So overall, it's a fun deck. I'm going to say it again because I think it needs to be reiterated several times. No one is going to like you if you play this deck. It is, it's fun for you, but it is not fun for anyone else, because no one really wants to just be constantly pinged, especially if you throw down mana barbs. If you throw down mana barbs, everyone's just going to be like, oh, fuck you. And so like stuff like Caltrops, stuff like Circle of Flame, everyone is just going to immediately, like, it's going to become a 3-on-1 very quickly. So unless like no one knows what you're doing, and then it's until it's like too late. Like you are going to be enemy number one, which is fine. Like this deck can do it, but you need to have like the right curve, like being able to just slam down your commander immediately on turn 2, turn 3, and then just pumping out spell after spell after spell, getting more cards, and just not letting off the gas. Because the moment that you take off the pressure, your opponents are going to rebound, and then you are going to be in trouble. So, but that is it Ghyrson Starn? There's not a whole lot. We'll go into EDH Rex and just kind of like see what the recommendations are. There's not a whole lot of variation because at least what I saw, like there's only so many like 1 damage pinger cards in here. One of the cards that I was kind of thinking, like there's Gimli, which is kind of interesting. Sawblade Scamp I was also kind of looking at. Same with Catherine the Fire. Cyclonic Rift is obviously good, but you know, we can't really do it. Lava Dart might actually be really good. I was looking at Hazardous Blast, but it's 4 mana for deals 1 damage to everything. Yeah, there's not a whole lot excuse me, in here that we haven't already looked at, other than very expensive options. So yeah, Avika was actually something that I was kind of considering. Avika was actually is a commander that I was actually looking at. I actually made a deck on Monk's Field for her before I actually purchased all the cards, and then I realized that she is very difficult to get out as a commander. Now the ward is really nice. It's 3 mana and pay 3 life. So like no one is really going to want to pay that for like single target removal. The problem is that she's 7 mana and 2 colors that don't ramp at all. So you have to get every single one of your ramp, your mana rocks out, treasure tokens out, just something to just give you that extra mana just to bring out your commander, and then you can start like actually like switching off and actually like casting spells and stuff like that. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create X 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell. They gain haste until end of turn. Really nice, really great commander. I could totally see making a goblin themed deck with Ovika. The problem is just you have to get her out by like turn 4 or 5 in colors that don't ramp very well. And I'll show you real quick because I still have the commander. So yeah, I have a ton of instants here, and very expensive cards. The problem is just getting to the 7 mana in order to get her out. Like I have so many mana rocks in here, and then Mind Splice Apparatus, which is actually a really nice card. But man, is this card like this? It feels it's difficult for you to get your commander out. What camera am I using? I am using a Sony Alpha 6400, I believe. Like I have Convoke cards, I have like mana ramp cards, I have a ton of mana rocks over here, unless you get your commander out in turn 4 or 5, like this deck just feels really bad. I haven't been able to find yet. I just don't think that this is a really, like, this commander works very well. Yeah, it's a true camera. Like, this was my birthday present to myself last year, which coincidentally is going to be on Friday. So I want to, like, get some of this content out. I know I've been bad. I've been just not feeling great because of COVID and stuff like that. But like, I really wanted this this deck to work, and I just didn't think that that we were going to be able to do it. But anyway, so that's Ghyrson Starn. Yeah, I feel fine. It's just that, like, I feel tired a lot, and then I've got this crappy nagging cough, and so talking for an extended period of time is just not been fun. So this is Ghyrson Starn. Fun deck. Again, I'm going to say it for a 4th or 5th time now. This is not going to be, you're not going to make any friends with this deck. So just be prepared for that. You are probably going to be ganged up on, and then they're just going to play a 3-stack in Commander. So just be prepared for it. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of variation in this deck, but I wanted to go over some of the combos and what you can do with it. So we are going to go through, I think, one more deck, if not 2, and then we'll just kind of we may play some Magic or Overwatch after that. So give me 1 second. We're gonna stop the recording, and we won't stop the stream.